All right, Tex, Monday evening, I've been watching football I won't say all day, but I tuned into the England-Mexico game today. It was almost worthy of a World Cup final. Did you hear about it, or you were at work?
Am I allowed to say I watched a lot of it? I don't know. And Norway. Good day of football. Great day of football. And then, I got up early enough. It was a good day of sport, actually, because I got Formula One highlights, mountain biking, football. I even watched some highlights package of the All Blacks. It was full noise, actually, for me.
Tour,
yeah, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
So I got a replay, like the bit of that. It's busy.
Yeah.
Busy.
It is busy, and then a huge weekend of triathlon, and I think Challenge Roth certainly stole the show, because I had to say to you, there were the European 70.3s, and you're like, and IRONMAN Switzerland, oh shit.
Yeah. Very onto it.
Very up with it. Well, this is a year since we were in Roth, and I heard from some people on the ground, and I just don't know how this is humanly possible. And I don't know where Felix is ever going to stop with this race. But from the coverage of the race that I watched, and also some of the feedback from the athletes that I know that were there, they said it was bigger and better than ever. And I personally thought it was better than ever last year. By all accounts, the expo area was bigger, and it was the biggest expo I think either of us had ever been to. And you know where the food trucks were positioned last year, round the back? Okay. I think Canyon had taken up most of that space. And so there's a battle, by all accounts, between some of the bigger brands as to who can actually create the biggest site. And I know Hoka last year, what did they have? A couple of shipping containers?
It was as tall as they could go. Hoka's plan was they went big. They went like 3 stories, which is smart, because it's very dominating. Whereas a bike company's always going to struggle to go up, because bikes don't go upstairs very well.
Yeah. A lot of brands use, Eurobike is that been, or is it?
It was like last week. Yeah.
Last week, yeah. Yeah, so this sort of naturally dovetails with that. And it gives a lot of the bike brands an opportunity to launch products and the like. But this time at Roth, I think the major talking point, would you say, was the new Canyon TT bike?
I don't know if it was like not the major talking point, because it wasn't really publicized. It just kind of got said, 7 days till the new bike gets publicly released, and then all of a sudden it's there. It's at the booth, and then all the pros are on it, and then it's like you're just getting drip fed more and more information. And awesome to see a bike company like Canyon is choosing to release a new bike at a world at Roth. They sponsor the bike course, but cool that they haven't done that at Kona or another race. They could have done it at Frankfurt or another German race as a German brand. But to choose Roth that's a big tip of the hat, I think, from the brand. And they've obviously got a few guns, and that might have been part of the start list that was decided way back in January or December last year to say, hey, you guys, you're doing this race this year because you guys are all getting new bikes.
Well, there's so many eyes on it. That's the thing, is I was watching the coverage, and I don't know what it peaked out at on YouTube, and it's consumed through various different platforms around the world. But YouTube being the one I was watching it on, it was up there maybe in the mid 30,000 people were tuning in to YouTube at the time, which is really good for an Ironman for sure. Outside of some of the big, maybe Pro Series races and obviously Kona and the like, you're going to get maybe that kind of viewership. But it's the people on the ground at that race.
300,000 last year.
Yeah, and I would have said it's equal that this year. Last year being there in person, you get to experience Solerberg Hill in person, and it's just chaos. But to watch it on the coverage, to watch how many people were out there on the canal, these are people who are potential bike purchasers who are watching, let's say, the men's race with a record-setting day, especially on the bike, and 3 very prominent Canyon-sponsored athletes at the front of it. It was a marketing dream for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, surely there was a bit of marketing dollars that went into a bit of a group chat. You've got three of arguably the best swimmers in the race, all lined up that had the potential to create a split, backed up by all very accomplished cyclists. Like, as a marketing ploy, it's not hard to believe that a bit of money got shared around to say, get you guys to the front of the race, maybe even a bonus for getting the bike's course record, because it's the Canyon bike course. You now have a bike course record on the new Canyon. Like, that's going to sell bikes. I mean, I was ready.
Ready to hit buy.
Well, no, I'm not.
Canyon shop.
You know me. You've stayed with me or stayed with each other enough over the years. Like, I'm pretty onto it with all that stuff and go deep enough down the forums and see what's coming out. And there was pretty scarce details about it that I could find on the way leading in and trying to understand what's even different about the bike. That's the question, when a new bike comes out, is like, how much of it's marketing and how much is it
different bike? Yeah, really different. Yeah.
I mean, because it looks pretty similar. You probably can't tell the difference. Still great.
I think there are a few little bits and pieces in terms of the front end of the forks that looked a little bit different front on, but like you say, it's probably to the average punter, no, they're not going to be picked up on. But you've got to keep releasing new bikes with little bits of changes. And they do, as you say, kept it under wraps, because I think even some of the leading pros like Patrick Lange, even Cat Matthews and the like, I don't think that they actually got to ride this thing until race week or even get literally set up on it.
Yeah, that was kind of the impression I saw when I read Patrick's post. Like, I think there was a shot that maybe Cam Worth had deleted when he was training with Schomburg. So he'd been on it, but I don't know how many weeks prior to the race that was, and like how long.
Okay.
You know how long it takes to get accustomed to a new TT bike. Like, even if the geometry is the same, the bike always just feels a bit different. And you want it to feel nicer, and they often do, but it definitely takes a few races to sort of just break that bike in. I have always found when I've switched bikes, it's never the first race often that feels amazing on it from a performance perspective. So yeah, good on them for just jumping in there, and I'm sure they would have got it as dialed as best as possible, especially, you're seeing all these videos now, people at wind tunnels, velodromes, and there would have been, you'd have to assume someone like Laidlow was part of the development cycle for it. I'm sure Hayden was, because I've talked to Hayden years ago about it, and he'd sort of indicated there was a new bike coming in the future, and he was involved in some of those decisions. He would have just wanted to Kiwiify it and just number 8 wire and hack at it like Braden used to, but maybe it got a bit more European flair along the way and it's a bit more elegant.
Yeah. Well, look, I think everyone was tweaking to the very last minute. I think I heard reports of Christian Blumenfeld actually had a couple of days in the wind tunnel, either in the week leading in or if not race week, very, very last minute stuff. And I do think I saw maybe a video of Sam Laidlow on the new bike out there, and he had one of the onboard aerodynamic devices off the front end. Did you see that one?
I did, yeah. I mean, I think when I looked at the footage, I don't know about you, I thought he's gone up a size, or the geometry is completely different, because the bike looks big, but it's not that it looks too big for him by any stretch. I mean, the guy rides amazing. It's just like, his stack height's a lot lower, which kind of indicates to me, and it looks longer, because in the past he's had a bike where he had to have like a forward reach extender to get the length right, and heaps of stack height to sort of get that bike fit to work for him, and now it all's tightened up. And a few of the other pros similar, and then all of his bottles positions are a little bit different, and so you've got to assume the wind's gonna work in a different way if there's a few different tweaks. And then, as you say, with Blumenfeld going into the wind tunnel, pretty low stress from a physical perspective, just try change a few tri-suits, especially when they thought it was going to be hot. And pick a suit that maybe had better cooling. I even laughed. I saw one suit that he posted, it looked like it had the same front panel as mine with the with the carbon infused cooling, and I was like, that fabric. Seeing that around the block. So there's definitely a bit of tech being thrown around.
Oh, yeah, and that shows that they're really trying to make their decisions right at the last minute. Some of it probably forced on them, like if it was a brand new bike that you pick up, 2 weeks out from the race, and then you've got to fit it, build it, fit it, and do any fine tuning to it. But it did just highlight the degree of importance that is being placed on aerodynamics, fabrics, thermodynamics, that these athletes are looking for these.
Did you see Magnus Ditlev and where his race ranger was?
No.
You wouldn't have picked up on that. So he 3D printed the rear of his saddle that came on as attachment that went further out and behind and placed it. Most people have it on the seat post or the frame based on that. But his sits above the bottles. I'm sure being that he would have, when he's so about details, that would have been in the wind tunnel. And guys, it's because the race ranger units changed quite recently. It's a whole different form factor. And they're like, has he managed to print this the night before the race or to get the right shape? Or has he just managed to jimmy it to make it work? But also, I thought maybe, because it's a bit further back than what the seat post is. Yeah. So if it's 10 centimeters further back, it's 20.1 meters. You know, how far back can you put it behind the bike?
Mechanical doping. Is this what you're saying?
And he wouldn't have done this in he has always been at the forefront of the rules. Yeah, it's he would test everything. You remember you turn up at Kona one year, 4 drink bottles on the back. They'll be all empty just to make them faster. It'll be the same again.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the degree of detail that these pros are taking to the race, we don't see the same, we don't have access to it. We're probably not critically thinking in that way as age group athletes and so forth. But, we did speak the other week about this opportunity with the AiRO App, and we'll direct listeners to Ingemar Junkel's interview that we did about the AiRO App. And we said we were going to catch up and chat about the experiences that we actually had with it when we went to Justin Ralph from Velo Performance, who looks after your bike fits and aerodynamics here in Cambridge in New Zealand. And we haven't actually had the chance to do that at this point in time, but we did do it, people. This was just before, much like the Blumenfelds and the Laidlows and the Moody's of this world. I think it was literally the week before Cairns. Was it
it was the Friday.
Was it a Friday?
So I don't know, was that 9 days? 10, I don't know what it was, but it was a Friday. A wet Friday.
A very wet Friday, it was a horrible day. So we descended on Justin's studio in Hamilton, and we went through. I'm not going to actually say it was an extensive process as such, because the beauty of the AiRO App is that it isn't a really extensive process if you want to get some sound advice in and around aerodynamics in your position. So I'll let you tell the listeners a little bit more about what we experienced when we had that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, we turned up at his and it was all pretty straightforward, changed into cycling kit, got some sort of mug shots, full body shots lined up, got my height. And then it was a case of just getting me on the bike and on the trainer and sort of just comfortably pedaling for 10 minutes. And we played around with a few different pictures of just positions of how I looked on the bike, just to sort of make sure it was realistic of what I'd ride in the real world, which is why we kind of did 10 minutes of pedaling just to not hold the ultimate little praying mantis and I pretend that I've never seen the wind before. So we had a few different reference photos to use, and then we were off. And then we were just off the bike, and everything was done on the laptop essentially, and then a monitor in front of us as we started tweaking different, just nothing groundbreaking, because we just wanted to get an understanding of how the app worked, how it looked, what it was going to give us, sort of how accurate it was. And then we weren't going to change anything for for Cairns. We just kind of wanted to get a better understanding of what it could do for us in the future, and if there was anything sort of worth noting. And so we did that, and kind of moved the position up, down, forward, and back. But it was pretty amazing. Once that photo was sort of calibrated in the square, we were able to manipulate the little image of me around and get it all to scale. Obviously, I didn't quite have the ass that it was looking for. If you remember, it was sort of a bit more glute activation was required to sort of fill it out. But
the one thing that was really interesting, and we mentioned this when we interviewed Ingvar was the selection of helmets. So one of the things that if you were going to make not just a positional change, but a change to some of your equipment, I think this is where your eyes lit up a little bit, because some of the helmets had only just been released, hadn't they? And he had a library of them, or they were relatively new that you hadn't actually ever been able to test?
Yeah, it was more in New Zealand, particularly. Like, we're a small market and it's so hard to get helmets, and like the price point of helmets is getting like absolutely, I mean, good, they save your life. Like, everyone should wear a helmet, but they are so expensive. Like, it's ridiculous. No one can just go out and buy 3 helmets that look good anymore unless you're pretty cashed up. And so to just be able to play around with a few different helmets and see a library that's growing quite quickly, because at the end of the day, it is kind of just machine learning. Like, the more it does of scanning, the better that's going to get, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger over time, which is quite cool. So it's an exciting prospect to know in a month's time there's probably another 20 helmets, and another month's time there might be 60 helmets, you know. But anyway, we did my helmet that I use, like a Cask Mistral, which we'd done in the velodrome a few times now with various suit testing, and knew it was the sort of fastest with me. And then I also have a TT5, like a specialized helmet as well. And we knew that tested faster. And so I had used it last year just because it had a shorter tail. I thought it was going to be better for hilly races, just because it's not like a big sort of cone coming out the back of your head, but it's quite hot. And we tested it, I think it was about 4 to 5 watts faster in the velodrome. But then we did it on the AiRO app, same difference. And Justin wasn't convinced at the time. He's like, oh, I don't know if and then I was like, we were able to cross it. I was like, no, you've got testing data on this. And we found the old reports from when we were in the velodrome. And he's like, oh, look, they actually match up as a difference, which is quite cool that we'd already validated one of the helmets to sort of show where that shift was coming from.
Yeah. Well, the other interesting part when we looked at helmets was that thing that surprised all of us, because you were able to track back to original data, and I can't remember the helmet that we're talking about here, the model U will, that we didn't think would test well, but did in the velodrome. And then subsequently, Justin's tested that on a number of other riders, track riders, TT riders, other people that have come in, and he said it doesn't actually, his suspicion was that it wouldn't actually test very well, albeit that for you, it does seem to suit you in a particular way. And the AiRO app actually picked up on that and confirmed it as well, didn't it?
Yeah, and I can't even remember what helmet that was now. So sorry to the listeners. I can't actually, I'd have to find it on the report. I'm trying to think which one was even, maybe the Met drone wide body was a faster helmet, but I'd kind of held fire. I don't think the Rudy project was going to be that much faster for me. I think they're all the common ones we'd played around, but then I was also kind of aware this sort of Tour de France time, a lot of new helmets. I don't know if you watched stage 1, the TTT, everyone had a new helmet. So there's lots of shopping to be had and a lot of AiRO learning to come. I think that new Cask helmet's like $1,200. So,
but I mean, what was surprising is that in velodrome testing in real life, it had proved to be pretty slippery. Every test thereafter that Justin has performed using that helmet, it hasn't proved to be that good. But when we ran the numbers through the AiRO app, it reiterated that what we'd found in the velodrome proved to be the similar sort of benefit that we were seeing in the AiRO app, which was a nice validation that, the AiRO testing, the real AiRO, I'm not going to say the real AiRO testing, but the AiRO testing that we'd done in real life whilst you're moving and pedaling around a velodrome was backed up strongly by what the AiRO app showed, and that was going against maybe Justin's sort of suspicion. As iometer. So
I mean, the other one that I found not more interesting, but also interesting, because I posed the question, like, how bad is a road helmet for Kona? I wanted to know, like, the Specialized make that Evade helmet. It's like a very fast road helmet. It's kind of the go-to road.
There's one that Taylor Nibwin rides the most. Is that the one she's in?
She's Trek, so she's a Bontrager Ballista. Very similar form factor. Same idea.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, because I'd always, why is Taylor riding in that helmet? A road helmet. It was only 3 watts slower than my TT helmet. And I'm like, that's not bad if there's a heat trade-off potentially if it
Yeah,
does provide
yeah,
a lot of cooling. And I was like, I can totally see why Taylor did, because that might even be faster. But, it might even be
yeah,
less of a difference for Taylor. And, and she does wear a TT helmet in certain races, but obviously that is a considerable, when she's that powerful on the bike and she's not desperate for
yeah.
every gain, the cooling factor is actually part of the equation for her.
Yeah, and seeing how Kona went for her last year, had she not been in a helmet that breathed well, that overheating that she experienced could have happened earlier. So she's probably going for that option, not just for the fact that she's found out it's not a huge loss in terms of aerodynamics, but for someone that's had her struggles in the heat, she's really wanted that breathable option. So she, at least she could confirm that it wasn't poor from an aerodynamics perspective.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's cool to just show the data's correlating in the right direction. That's more than anything. It's not the poor man's, but it's a cost-effective way to do it. And I can totally see this being implemented at expos and races.
Yeah.
You turn up and you've got a bit of time the day before or the day before that, at whatever venue you're at, and you're like, oh, it'd be quite cool to know when I do this next race, or if I qualify for my goal race, my next race of the year, for instance, if I was to spend a bit of money, how can I spend that smartly? Helmets or bottle positions or all sorts of stuff. I think there's a lot to come in that space without having to go and spend a day at the velodrome. And I find the velodrome really taxing, doing all those efforts. It's a proper hard session. Like you wouldn't see me doing that a week before a race or the week of the race. It's too hard.
Yeah, we would never have done velodrome testing, 9 days out from Roth, because there's just too many runs, and it's all done at a pretty tasty intensity as well. Whereas if we're fine tuning something, and as Justin actually said, it's a good precursor to see whether you do want to jump onto the velodrome or not, or even if you just leave it with the AiRO app. There's some real time savings to be had because they can make those calculations in the report that you receive.
Oh, and we probably should highlight that as well, like how fast. I mean, once we got it all set up, and there was a bit of flapping around to get set up, but it was more, Justin was educating us as well of what he was doing and why as we went through the setup. But whilst that was happening and we got some simulations running, they probably happened within 10 minutes in the background, and we'd then be selecting new ones. And by the time we had about 8 or so on the go, we were looking back at the first simulation that we'd already run and making tweaks.
Yeah.
So it became quite a good little process flow once that sort of initial setup phase had been done for all of 10 minutes of riding.
Yeah. And I can so totally see how it won't be long before people are turning up to someone like Justin, and just when they select what they want, they take a bike fit and they immediately choose the AiRO app testing it, lay it over the top of that, because the time savings, it's free. It's the thing.
You don't have to buy the new Canyon immediately. It's way cheaper. We could save you 20 grand.
we could save you 20 grand. And the report was extensive, and it's a body of work that you can build on over time. And I would say, door to door, if the three of us get together, we cut out half of the chit chat and the faffing around. It's maybe a 90-minute session to 2 hours, a little bit longer if you were going to obviously throw the fit in as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's as long as a piece of string, really, isn't it? I mean, you're a good chit chatter, so it was hard to tell how much time was spent fitting and how much was you just yapping away, wasn't it? Between all of us, it can be fast.
It can be fast, yeah. And we'll put links to Justin's website in the show notes. I'm not sure at the point when we did it, he's still in the formative stages of launching this AiRO app offering, but you will be able to contact him through the website if you're interested in getting some aerodynamics data. Now, there was it raw power, or do you think it was aerodynamics with these bike course records in Roth, mate? What are your thoughts about the race? For me, before I finish off, I stayed up to 12. I had to see how it was all going to unfold. I don't think I've been that engaged in a full distance Ironman for a long period of time. The coverage was fantastic. I think Belinda and Sebi could work on their commentary a little bit. They talk across each other a lot of the time, but I just think they're getting carried away with the race and what's unfolding.
Yeah, they're just loving it. That's at the end of the day, when two people just love a sport that much.
One of them's got to decide who's the lead commentator, though. That's the problem. One of them's got to decide. Yeah. However, it had me up to 12 o'clock. I watched it to the bitter end. I didn't know what the result was going to be. They had that split screen offering as well, which was really good, so that you could keep an eye on something that was happening in other parts of the race, including the female race. The coverage did have to go with where the most excitement was, and that was certainly in the back end of the men's marathon. It didn't end up being as close as what it could have, but Sam Laidlow was one raisin away from cracking. So everyone sort of knew that, and especially Sebastian Kienle. But what an otherworldly performance from Sam Laidlow. He doesn't race often, but when he races, he is, and as we head towards Kona, he could be the man to beat.
Yeah. It's super, super impressive the way he can put together a race in the fashion that he does. And, he doesn't race often. And there was periods there where we were like, what sort of Sam are we going to get? And obviously he performed really well, lands a Roddy. And then, to come out here again, and to have that second race of the year or whatever it is, and then just be dominant in the swim, just, push that pace and then ride the way they ride to break that bike course record again is ridiculous. But it's to run off a bike that hard. Yes, okay, there's massive improvements in aerodynamics, I'm sure. There's still a lot of raw power. That's not soft pedaling around for 4 hours, is it? Like, we've been around that course, like, you've got to push. It's rolling, it's punchy.
Yeah.
So, incredible throughout the entire day, and cool to see. I love Christian, but it's good to have a competitor for Christian, and that makes, obviously, as we talked about before this, it's going to make Kona more exciting. Whether or not it takes a group to gang up on him, that's pretty scary, that it actually has to take a group to really sort of put him in the back corner, and maybe with his little Norwegian pen pals, he can sort of turn the tide.
He needs two of them as well.
Yeah, the Vikings, I might have Haaland on the old bottle duty, sort of on the Queen K. So, yeah.
Well, it's a good point, It would be interesting to know what they would have produced had it only been one or two of them, and not having Schomburg, Bogen, and Laidlow at the front. They seemed to share the work really well, really evenly, until Schomburg dropped off. They rode very legally, at times way more than 20 metres between them. So they were all what it sort of suggests to me, especially Bogen and Laidlow, very evenly matched from a power output perspective.
And first year on 20 metres, right? Because we didn't have 20 last year, so it's even more impressive, really, in some respect, because 12 metres, we know there's there's enough data to back it up, that you are kind of team time trialling, like when Magnus and Sam went round and went under 4. Yep. To go and do that at 20 metres is
impressive. And I agree. We talked about this at the beginning. This start of the year, it's all Christian Blumenfeld, because we're not seeing a Sam Laidlow, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't suit him to race regularly. He's not interested in the T100s other than, sporadic sort of turn-ups for those races. He's not following the Pro Ironman series. He's in that real privileged position, sponsorship-wise, to not have to chase the money there. Same as a little bit like Laura Phillips. She races very sparingly. Unfortunately, she wasn't on the start line. But I tell you what, it's the yin and the yang of triathlon, isn't it? They've got different skill sets. They race in different ways, and it just means that there is, on any given day, the strongest guy wins. And Sam Laidlow was the strongest guy. Yes, he was struggling in the last 10 to 12 Ks on the run, but the damage that had been done early on. And I also think, last year when you raced, there was bigger groups going around, and it was just itty bitty little 2s and 1s and maybe 3s, because I think what was happening is that how they were influencing the race at the front was leaving every man for themselves, and as a result of that, not everyone could ride around in a group. So it looked like a very honest race for me.
Yeah, and that's 20 meters as well over there. Like that's definitely going to play a big factor, I think, on a course like that 20-meter rule. And as you say, yeah, is dribs and drabs at that point, and sort of survival of the toughest. And I mean, Laidlow deserves to hurt at the back of if you ride under 4 and you put 10 minutes into Christian. No one else is putting 10 minutes into Christian. You're allowed to take a little walk through an aid station at that point, because you're the only man on earth that's actually done it. And then to come away with the world's best time, it's like, well, fair play, mate.
Yeah. And look, I think at the time, and I agreed with Sebi Kinley on the coverage, he was like, because he started grimacing at about 28 Ks, and that was a real painful grimace. And it was brilliant to hear Sebi Kinley commentated on the moment, like telling people what that felt like as an athlete, that point in the race where, he said it's almost like you've got an angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other, and the devil's winning, and the devil's telling you you've blown. This is going to be the end. Well, it didn't prove to be that.
I've had that like 14K before. It's way better happening. You've had it probably sooner.
Easily. Yeah. But he held on and he composed himself and he came through for the finish. It does show that that run course, as I've said many times, I think there are some technical components to it. Once you get back into Roth with the cobbles, the last sort of 11 Ks where you've got those rollers as well, a little bit less spectators out there. But on a really, really quick day, like a 2:36 from Laidlow, a 2:29 from Christian, 2:43, which is the slowest of the top 10 men in the race with Rico Bogen. And then we're forgetting Mino Koulis ran a 2:30.
I know. Yeah.
He
deserves a special mention.
There are some very, very quick run times. And I put that down to that very, very long phase along the canal where you can just settle in, get into your rhythm, and it just doesn't beat the legs up as much.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And when I did it last year, albeit did a few trips to the Portaloo, so I had a sort of like an interval session. The 28, like going out back onto the road, and where it's not technical, but like you change into the cobbles, and then it gets a little bit lonely. Is it Butenbach as you go out there on those rollers? Like it is a big shift in toughness at the back end of a marathon. I think it was Grace Tech that nailed it last year. She probably one of the most impressive performances out of anyone we saw at that race, probably in the back end last year. It's one that you're not trying to save energy for, but you've definitely you pace the marathon accordingly and or you've had a bit of experience. You've done, Laidlow's won here before. You kind of knew what to probably expect in that back end, that it was going to get tougher. Yeah.
Look, a wonderful race. Magnus Ditlev backing up from Frankfurt. So was Finn Gross-Friese, who was in that lead swim group, but then faded outside the top 10 across the rest of the day. There were a couple of athletes who stepped across from Frankfurt the week before, which added to the start list. And Magnus is still not quite at the level, or is he? Is he at the level where he left off before these recent illnesses? And we've just had, like we've talked about, you only have to be away from the top of the sport for a year or two before a whole new group of people turn up who can either swim just that fraction better, bike that fraction better, and run that fraction better. And in Laidlow's case, Bogen's case, maybe to a certain extent, even Jonas Schomburg's case, we've got this new group of athletes that have taken what Ditlev used to do and advanced it just a fraction further.
It is the sport I've been around long enough. I remember the back end of the Starkowitz era.
Yeah.
And then it shifts, and Skipper and the likes, and then even Matt Burden to an extent, and then it shifted, and then we got the runners back, and that kind of, with the Patrick Langs and the likes, that then shifted the sport back into the runners, and we kind of seem to ebb and flow, and then it's, every time after a post-bloody Olympic cycle, we get all these swimmers turn up and ruin the sport, and then they start again, and then we get the good cyclists and then the good runners, and it just sort of ebbs and flows. Well, like, it never just, well, I mean, as a whole, it's all moving up, but this just takes a few superstars and everyone goes. It was exactly what Blumenfeld did last year, knew what Laidlow had ridden at Nice, and so they trained that absolute house down, him and Gustav and Casper, to be able to ride those climbs exactly, or if not harder, than what Laidlow was going to do, and they matched him going round. On the bike. You know. So
no, it's a new guard, but unfortunately, this new guard for most professional triathletes is that these guys at this level are elite swimmers. And there's about 4, 5, 6. You can add a few other names to that who are going to come out in that front group. But when you talk about the Schomburgs of this world, who didn't have his best run, I think that bike did sting him a little bit. But, you know, the Schomburgs, the Bogens and the Laidlows, Bogen won't be in Kona. But I mean, Schomburg will be, Laidlow will be, and I'm sure there's going to be someone else.
First full distance race, eh?
Yes,
Not a bad debut. Not a bad debut. Give him that, not bad.
What did he go? 7:40, 7:27. Yeah, 7:27.
Yeah, it's not bad. Little debut, Ironman. Take that.
Yeah, not too shabby. But blew up on
room
the run.
To move.
He did look at. Yeah, room to move. Well, 2:43 on the marathon, so one of the slower ones in the top 10. But you know, you go and bike a 3:54. You've put yourself a little buffer in there, and you know it's really interesting because you talk about being in the sport long enough. I do wonder whether this will see the last year for Patrick Lange in Kona, because he certainly doesn't have the bike horsepower to match these guys at the front. You know, maybe Patrick is, you know, the last winner of the world champs who can't afford to not have a bike as powerful as this, because he won when we were still at 12 meters and he was able to get around in that group and run his way to victory, which everyone prior to the change in the drafting rule, good on you. That's the rules at the time. But being, what was he, 20 minutes slower than Laidlow on the bike and 4 minutes slower on the swim. 2:32 marathon is still incredibly impressive, but it's not going to see you at the front of the race.
You know he's going to win Kona now. You've said that. I already, that's it. Think of the heat, old Patrick. And we said that last time it was in Kona, everyone counted him out. And then it was absolute carnage because everyone overrode. Everyone got too hot. And then it was a complete war zone. And then all of a sudden we had Leon Chevalier like leading the race or second in the race, you know, like you never know what you're going to get.
True. Yes, exactly. That's the plan. You know, there is no reason why you cannot be that fourth name in the front four of the bike, just sitting comfy at 20 meters. When Sam Laidlow gives you the flick of the elbow to come round and take your 15-minute pull on the front, what would you say?
Astana it, just high siding.
It's just falling off. McCann. Okay, fair enough.
Team car.
Well, as you say, you add heat in, we're never going to know what's going to happen in Kona, but certainly on the men's side of things, this makes for an enticing battle in October because, maybe they've found a way to beat Christian, and Christian has got a few months left to find out a way to counter this style of racing. Now, on the female side of things, if you're going to produce a run split that's almost a 15 to 20 minute PB, you want to do it in a marquee race off a swim bike combo that Alana Siffert actually delivered, and go from someone who's been making their way as sort of I'm going to say probably a second tier professional, to produce a performance like that is absolutely unreal. And to watch her run, because I'd seen her most recent race, the T100 in Spain, where we commented on her biking at that point in time. She's a very strong biker with her own unique bike riding.
Full body control.
full body control. But I never saw her as that type of runner. And there are some heavy favourites, Kat Matthews being obviously probably the hottest favourite going into the race, that had nothing on that day. So what a victory for Alanis.
Yeah, I mean, and great, like, I think within our household, I think we both really wanted Kat to win. That was probably what we're most excited with, like a Kat Lucy showdown. And had her as a hot favourite for Kona, and this was going to be like a big race for her, and thought she'd run under 240 here, and so we were super excited by that prospect. And then when the swim sort of unfolded, and then not long after Alanis gets to the front of the race, I was like, oh yeah, typical, like in terms of Alanis, that's kind of how she rides. She was strong here last year on the bike, like she is a strong cyclist, but then to go, was it third fastest woman, I think it was, all time around that course, obviously a fast day, but still very fast for her. And then to back it up with a 245 run. I've raced with her and challenge, like Alanis typically has raced challenge events, French races, tough races, Embrunman, Outdoors, sort of the hardmans, the alternative racing series. So you don't see her at these big races as often, but then to produce that in the way and go up to the best in the world, really, Lucy Charles, Kat Matthews, and to perform the way she did with such a significant improvement, everyone's like, okay, we've now tier 2 to tier 1, like you're right in the conversation because you haven't really got a weakness all of a sudden.
Yeah, because I didn't actually realise she was that strong a swimmer. And I know that with Lucy Charles's injury and surgery, she put a lot of time into her swimming, and I only really got about a minute on the rest of the girls coming out of the water, which isn't substantial. And I think that was quite interesting for me, because when those three women, I think it was Caroline Pole, Daisy Davis, and obviously Alanis actually rode up to Lucy, I'm thinking, so Lucy's either not having a good day today, because that is unusual as well, because Lucy's MO is...
Did Lucy serve a penalty for picking up her bike before her helmet, or did that kind of just get waved through? I didn't actually see. I watched the coverage, and she picked the bike up and then realised, threw her bike back in the rack, put the helmet on, and then picked the bike up again. And I wonder if the Germans were... But I never sort of... Not that we were going out for a curry, and curry took priority. I never actually, I never followed up on it to sort of see if a penalty. I did see the moment, and I was like, because in technical terms, that is a penalty, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if she did, because I do know that she went out with about that minute's lead that they sort of ate into, as it went along. And then once they got to the front, it surprised me even more as Alanis rode through Lucy, and then rode off the front of Lucy, and it didn't blow out a lot. So Lucy wasn't having a horrific day by any stretch of the imagination, but obviously Alanis was having the day of her life. And then, from there on in, she was never headed across the rest of the day, made more time. We were waiting for the sort of predicted inroads to be made by Kat Matthews after the swim deficit. That didn't happen, and it sort of held stable for a bit, and maybe a little bit of time was gained, and then it started to blow out. And then when you're starting to think she's going to get off the bike with like a 12 or more minute lead, you were still saying to yourself, based on her historical run performances, Kat Matthews has still got this in the bag relatively comfortably. I mean, we'd seen what Kat had done, racing in Elsnore. Yeah. And her run form is in spectacular shape. She had sort of held off catching everyone on the bike in the 70.3, and we just thought she was almost, I'm not going to say it disrespectfully, but playing with the field in Elsinore in the 70.3. And we're thinking, maybe she's playing with the field here. She knows that she's got everyone, including Lucy Charles, covered. But as you started to blow out and think, well, Alanis has got like 12 or 13 minutes lead, and Lucy's got 11. You don't want to give Lucy Charles like 11 minutes. But it proved to be that Kat was just having an off day completely, and Alanis literally just ran away with it. So what are we going to say about this going forward? We have to put her up there and this performance up there with some of the best in the world. We talked about all these women who are running. There's only a handful of them who are running down in that 240 range, let alone sort of low 240s. And Alanis has now become one of those athletes.
Which is why I've booked to go to China for a camp before Kona. And do like a real intense block in like a factory or something. You're going to come, aren't you? You like Chinese food?
Yeah, love Chinese food. Love Chinese food. Yeah, well, look, I mean, as you say, she's made her career racing different races with different challenges. It's a staple of a Sato coached athlete. Like having done Embrunman and a few other of these non-branded events where you can actually still make good money. Watching her ride her bike, I'd love to see her go over an Embrunman course, never getting out of the aero bars, but
she's won it, hasn't she?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I didn't see the coverage of it because the way she climbs is you're either seated or you're standing, but you never leave your aero bars,
which is so impressive. Like you go and try and do that,
yeah,
100% you're crashing. Like unless your bars are that wide, there is no way unless you've practiced so much that you're going to hold that.
I know, but she did exactly what we talked about the other week when she'd raced in the T100. It is. From a bike fit perspective, look, you can't argue.
The fit is dialed. If you look like seat post, like everything's textbook. It's just the way that it's delivered is unfit. The best athletes in the world often are. You go to the Olympics, none of the biomechanics match what should match.
Absolutely. And look, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. And if she's producing incredible bike splits, you go and try to change that. And I think she's going to go backwards. You'll be
100%.
The body is absolutely producing power in the way that suits her best. And she's not the biggest athlete in the world. So from an aerodynamics perspective, not a lot of body to make punch into the wind. And look at the bike split. And it was done in a way that really didn't detract from her run. So can't speak highly enough of that performance and really proved to be a relatively comfortable victory in the end, winning by 7 minutes. Daisy Davis, who I thought would be competitive across the day, she's really sort of making some inroads. Bianchi team athlete there as well. Karen Pole was on debut at the distance as well and finished out the top 5 with Kat sort of making some inroads, but a 2:54 marathon at the end of the day is definitely not what I think she thought she was on for. So it'll be interesting to hear a bit more from that camp because I know Roth was a very big goal of theirs this year. You don't sign up for it when you could still be competitive in the pro Ironman series if this isn't like an A race for you.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope she's all good. Yeah. Big fan, but it could be a classic case of a busy week, with just a lot of commitment, which sucks that your race can be derailed. But when you rise to the top, you get all that support. But there's all the expectations that come around it during race week, and you lose a lot of time.
And one of the only races probably still paying appearance fees. And probably for someone like her, a substantial appearance fee, which will require quite a bit of personal promotion and marketing for Challenge Roth. So that's the trade-off there, albeit that you still want to perform well. So, I mean, you've got to weigh these things up. But let's hope that this is just a blip on the radar and that the big battles that we hope for on the female side of things in Kona and the rest of the Pro Ironman series, Kat's going to be a significant player in those. Mate, we had other races across the course of the weekend, and from a Sato perspective, Julie Duron has gone and won on home territory in Switzerland. When we were in Switzerland a couple of years ago, we went to just have a look around the area because it was so spectacular from when I've seen it on the race coverage. Not an easy race at all. Plenty of climbing on the bike. And Immo Simmons got out of the water with a little bit of a lead, but Julie Duron ate into that on the bike, which was a good
Current
sign.
day and age, pretty expected though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but I think on a tough course, I mean, Immo's a pretty decent cyclist, and I'm sort of thinking, is this a good sign that we're going to add Julie Duron's name to the female competitor list in Kona, who has got a good chance of actually mixing it up at the front of the race, if her bike is moving forward, and if Sutto's looking after her, and Lana Siffert, Daniela Reif in the past, we know that he can make a lot of female athletes very, very strong cyclists. 252 marathon is not blistering fast, but she went into T2 with only a 40-second deficit to Immo, made that up pretty quickly, and ended up winning by over 13 minutes. So again, she is a pretty sensible racer and might have been able to chop it down a few gears, because I think on her day, she could be faster than that on the run.
Yeah, totally right. I'm sure you're only going to run faster if you need to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even
a nice position to get into. Get into the lead knowing you're the fastest runner, and then knowing that you're making significant time gains on second place, which seemed to happen quite quickly. And funny for Immo Simmons, she stayed away from the full distance for a very, very long period of time. In fact, I think we might have been in Florida with Hannah Berry racing the last time Immo would have done a full distance race, and she was chasing performance way back then. She'd done a number of iron distance races back to back, not up to the level that she would have hoped, and she was trying to solve the problem by doing more races, ended up getting injured, and then was off the scene for a long period of time. So nice to see her back. And does this mean we're going to see her in Kona? I don't really know. There must be more than 2 slots in the Switzerland ranks for slots to Kona. And she could be a name that could be at the front, especially on the swim and the bike.
Yeah, totally. I mean, as you already outed me, I didn't know the race was on, so I don't know how many slots there were.
Well, as a female-only race, as a female-only race, there's got to be a couple.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll do that right now.
Do your due diligence.
Yep.
Go through the mountain bike results.
Got it. Slot. She's slot 2 was taken by Immo. So let's see if she is there in Kona. Another athlete who could potentially mix up that race. And from a keep it in the family perspective, if Sutto's picking up the wins in Challenge, Roth and IRONMAN Switzerland, well, the Bogen family are doing pretty well, because Bianca Bogen became European 70.3 champion. And this is Rico Bogen's sister, and she is a young mum. I think she's maybe got 2 kids, if I'm not mistaken. And on her day, because we've raced at similar races to her, 70.3 last year in the Czech Republic. Is it the Czech Republic now? No, it's not, is it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Harditz Karlaway.
The 70.3 in Harditz Karlaway last year, she won really convincingly. And she's had some T100 starts, and I thought she might be a little bit more competitive. But yeah, like I say, on her day, very, very strong, and beat Marjolaine Pierre. And I think they had a really decent run battle there. And we saw this in the T100, Lassie Nygaard Priester in San Francisco. Was that where he had the really good race?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Rico Bogen won San Francisco there, and he ran either second or third, and he became European champion at the 70.3, posting a 109. There's some pretty decent run splits in that, but that guy is a weapon.
Oh, yeah, he's a name to watch that we're going to become very comfortable with in the next couple of years. No real weakness, particularly with a run of that class. It's in that next tier that we're seeing, and it's like so that'll be very interesting to see him progress over the next couple of years.
Well, the Bogens are going to be happy. Sutto's going to be taking a percentage of prize money, so he's going to be super happy. We've got some new athletes who could be influencing the front of some of these marquee races, and Alana Safet and also Julie Duron. Should we see her? I know after our interview we did with her, she's very keen on being and performing well in Kona. So it was a huge weekend of racing and a huge weekend of sport. So you've got obviously mountain biking that you've been following. I'm going to go off and watch the Tour de France highlights now. I think we've got another football game that we need to catch up on. Maybe we need to broaden out the podcast and become a little bit more like the world of sport.
Yeah. We could just like part one of those sort of like Monday night sort of football show, like one of those panels, or great TV show, maybe controversial. Last season of Eastbound and Down, when he becomes a talk show host for sports. Yeah, we could be like that. I could see you as KP.
Yeah, for those people, some people know the Eastbound and Down comedy series. Another one that Jack and I follow closely, could probably give you a few quotes from. We won't give you the rest of the highlights of the comedy shows that we love the best, because some of them are very, very niche. But on that note, mate, great weekend of racing. I got to be honest, Roth just blows me away. I'm going to say it now. Like, I've taken some criticism on the podcast before. Everyone thinks I bag on the T100. In fact, any other podcast that's been out there talking about triathlon for as long as we have, and some of the more established podcasters, everyone thinks we all bag on the T100. But when you look at a visual perspective of people out there watching and supporting triathlon, Challenge Roth is the absolute marquee event, and it is a mile back for second place as to how many people have got eyes on that, whether it's on streaming it, whether it's there in person. No, I think it's the there in person thing. It is so far ahead of everything else that it shows that if you whatever Felix does, it needs to be bottled and then sold to these other events.
Georgia said she had PTSD actually watching it, from riding around so much as a spectator last year. She reckons she covered 40K chasing around. But that's how amazing it is. You have a town of 25,000 people, 300,000 people turn up, and they follow it around, and the Schmidt Bakery makes an absolute killing for the day, and everyone wins.
And everyone wins. Yeah. So I've got to be honest, I'll be back there in the future. Don't know when it will be, and don't know under what guise, but I'll certainly
be back there. As an athlete, probably. Yeah. Well,
yeah. No. Okay. We'll move on for that. But I will be back there in the future. It's just so much fun. But on that note, mate, I'll let you go, and we'll catch up with the other two who will be weaning their way back from Roth, hopefully next week. I know Guy was too drunk yesterday afternoon, and Kate was too tired from running a marathon as part of a team. We'll catch up and find out a bit more about their experiences in Roth next week, and we'll chat to you then.
Sounds good.